What's going on, Sarasota? It's Brad Hannon.
Trey Martel.
Felipe Colon.
He had to think about it for a second. And we got our good friend here, Joe Crouch from iTarget. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you.
Before we get into it, I just want to say that no one will be or has been hurt in the making of this episode. And so these are just target practice. We're going to get into that. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. But we got Joe from iTarget. These things are fun. We've been having a blast with him before the show. Felipe didn't get to really participate much. Did he hit the target, Trey?
He missed it wide right.
Yeah, I think this table's
big wide right guy.
This table's like 4.5 foot long, and he missed to the right. So you're safe if you're trying to intrude.
Listen, when we go to the range, I'll bring my camera and we can use that footage. And you heard it here first. That's a live challenge.
But these are target friendly guns. So we're gonna talk about these targets and how cool they are. But they basically have I'll let Joe talk about it, but they have a laser inside of it. You can practice, and you can do it safely, right? We're not going to hurt anybody
Use your actual
doing
firearm. These are real firearms with laser bullets instead of real ammo.
So normally we like to talk about the background, but this is just too cool just not to jump right into the iTarget, the technology behind it and how it got started. I mean, I'd have a blast with this, even with my kids. Like, I don't know if there's an age for it, but what? How'd you get to the idea?
Let's get into the why. What brought upon this technology? Why did you see a need for it?
Yeah, well, originally, when I first bought a firearm, I wanted my wife to be comfortable with it, and she was scared to even touch it. So I started researching online. I couldn't take her to gun range. She wouldn't even touch a loaded gun.
I don't blame her, though. I'm not a big fan of gun ranges because other people, not myself.
Yeah,
but
it can be, especially when you're new to firearms and you go there and there's all the loud explosions and everything. So I started researching, and I saw that a company called Laserlight had developed this standalone target with electronic sensors in it and LED lights, and you would shoot it and it wouldn't do anything. And I had been working in the film industry doing app development and stuff for television shows, and I'm thinking, well, there's got to be an app that can detect a red laser, and I searched and it wasn't there, and so just the whole concept came to my head, and I bought a 3D printer, printed up basically this device very similar to what you see now, and went to work developing the app and did a Kickstarter campaign, raised money to get a mold made, and it just took off. I mean, the first couple of years of it, I couldn't even make them fast enough.
What a simple improvement, right? So you're saying on the market at the time they didn't have this, which would receives and grades where the target hits.
There is nothing that used a phone to. Now I created an industry because there's like 5 companies copied it now.
No kidding.
That's super interesting. So how much did you raise on Kickstarter?
Yeah, right.
About $50,000.
Okay,
which is enough to get the mold made.
I mean, that's enough to prove the concept that there's demand, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. And so to get this straight, you weren't a gun guy prior to this.
Not really.
You were new to firearms.
Yeah, I had bought my first gun when I was living in California around 2015, after I thought Obama might ban them. I was
going to say, did they let you buy guns in California, or did you have to go to Nevada?
I couldn't have bought these. Certain ones you can't buy. So there's a roster.
Those look like little ones.
Yeah, but there's a roster, and in order to put a new gun on a roster, they have to take 2 off or something like that. So I forget what the rules are, but there's not a wide selection.
Yeah, they have the magazine restriction.
Lots of restrictions.
I think Jersey's one of the worst, where you have to have a permit for each individual gun, rather than just like a general permit, which is pretty wild.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But I bring that up because, oftentimes with these industries, it's an outsider who does innovation because they're not thinking of it, the way everybody else is, the way everyone always has. They're coming with a fresh set of eyes. Yeah. So I think that's how a lot of great innovation actually starts, which is cool.
And when I looked at like what the other company, Laserlight, was selling, it was like $500 for this target, $100 for the laser. I'm like, man, I could build the whole thing for $100. So that was my price point, like make the whole thing for $100. And
what is your current price point for this kind of stuff?
I sell this kit for $99. The cubes are $89, or a 3-pack for $249 of them. They're a little more expensive item because they got their own computers inside of them.
Listen, you don't have to justify it. I think those are great price points.
So I think we are going to add a little segment to this show. So again, if you're listening to the audio version only, you're going to want to tune into YouTube, because when we wrap this up, maybe before or after the rapid fire questions, I think we just have a little competition, right?
You can watch Felipe miss the target.
So he's got the target, right, which registers. You can see, like, if I shoot it, it registers where I hit it. But he's also got the cubes, which has a little app here that I don't know if you see that, but the cubes, basically, you can set to, light up, and you shoot the ones that light up, or you shoot them all. And so we'll just have a little competition who can shoot the 4 cubes the fastest, right?
Yeah, so that he can set it up for 2 players, and it gives random, and it brings a competition element into
Unless
it.
you're scared, we can just have a little competition.
Yeah,
and you
that's
can
cool.
do clearing drills. You could like put them throughout the building and run through and see who can time.
So
Maybe get some smoke machines. Really good at that.
So what we'll do is we'll set them.
drills.
We'll set them out there in the office amongst unsuspecting agents.
Just run through the guys.
Is this Alec Baldwin approved?
Yeah, right.
But let's break it down for people who maybe are not gun owners or not familiar with why this technology is so important and relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, you're able to basically...
Great, yeah, let's let him break it down.
Yeah, that's even better.
Yeah, well, for one, it's a great way to teach someone. Like, as I was saying, teaching my wife, or once I invented this thing, and she had her friends over, and they were like having fun shooting it. And that told me right there, like a bunch of my wife's Filipino, and a bunch of her Filipino friends were enjoying shooting guns and practicing and actually learning how to align the sights and do that. And I'm not worried about anybody, accidentally misfiring or anything.
Right.
And my wife actually goes to the gun range with me now. I mean, she loves shooting an AR and stuff. So it was a great way to introduce.
It's a gateway drug.
It's a gateway to self-protection. Yes. Actually, I mean, that was my concern. If I'm not home and I have a gun in the house, I wanted to know how to use it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when you do the marketing, that's a lot of what you talk about, right? Is if you're not practicing, there's no point in having the gun. It's actually less safe to have a gun in your house, technically, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're not practicing.
Well, too many people, I mean, I'm the type of guy, I own the gun, I keep it locked in a safe, and a lot of people are like that. They never practice with it, And I do now, because I've learned the importance. It's like shooting a basketball, like Kobe Bryant would practice after games even, because it's like the repetitions is what keeps you sharp.
Right.
It's not like you know how to shoot and then that skill's with you forever. It's like you got to do the repetitions.
I don't know. You saw me hit the bullseye a few times. I hadn't practiced in a while.
From about 2 feet.
Yeah. So let me get to the other obvious advantage is the price, right? You're saving so much money to practice with this, then the ammo, the gun range, the gas to the gun range,
and you can do it any time. It's like you set it up in your house and practice in your house, so you don't have to set aside a large amount of.
Let's talk the economics of it. You said $100 for this, 200, 100.
Comes with a laser. This comes with the laser of whichever caliber you choose.
If you go on the extremes, $300 for a whole setup, versus how much does it cost to go to the gun range?
Yeah, it just depends on how many.
Dude,
rounds.
I don't know.
I'll tell you. My father-in-law wasn't home the other day. I have a ton of ammo and everything at his house. Keep it safe. I've got the kids at the house. I don't have a full gun safe, so I keep just a little bit there. But I couldn't get the ammo because he wasn't home. And so I'm like, whatever, I'll just buy ammo. I'm just stopping by. I had some agents that were going to the gun range to shoot their new guns. And I probably spent – I had to first buy a membership, which is $30, $40, something like that. Ammo, $100, $150. I mean, I probably spent $200 at the gun range, and I was there for 45 minutes.
So there you go. So you could probably equate it to one trip to the gun range for this app. Obviously, guess. I'm not. There's probably no substitute for actually firing the gun, but this would be a supplemental practice or a way to get your foot in the door with practicing. Correct?
Yeah, you're still using. I mean, you don't have the recoil, but there's so much involved in just trigger discipline, sight alignment. Breathing techniques and stuff like that. Professional shooters, guys that compete shooting, they actually dry fire more than they live fire.
Yeah.
Because you can do that anytime, So you end up doing that more often in their house, and they don't even use lasers; they just dry firing, aiming, but this makes it more fun, because you can actually see it. You can compete. Like the cubes allow you to compete with each other on shooting.
I am curious how. So that's one type of professional, but then you've got police and military as well. They've got to practice. Have you gotten any traction in the professional space?
Yeah, it's funny because more so in other countries like France, I get Tactipol is a police organization that sells to their police departments over there. They buy from me in bulk all the time, and so they train more over there with it. Smaller gun or law enforcement offices will reach out to our company and buy them and for their departments.
Why do you think it's more prevalent in other countries for them to want to use this product as opposed to just buying the ammo? Is that just an expense thing?
I don't know. I mean, it's like Switzerland and France and Brazil were like
maybe because none of their private citizens have experiences with guns.
I don't know.
No, maybe it's just less gun culture.
Maybe who knows?
I don't know why. I know in Switzerland, like everyone has to serve in the military, and they all keep their firearm afterwards. So everyone is armed. So I mean, that explains why that would be interesting over there to them. But I don't know why France picked up on it.
Now, tell me about. Speak to me like I'm 7 years old and explain this gun with the laser, how you get the laser bullets rather than real bullets.
Okay, so this is actually a real gun.
How do you shoot lasers?
It's a real gun.
This is a real gun. I don't have maybe that
Give him the
pen or something.
Well, this strong roofing.
I need something to push out the laser.
giant bottle.
Okay.
You have a smaller pen?
Yeah,
Give me one of
that's too
Sigma
big.
pens.
Or a pencil.
This may be thin enough. That looks less than 9mm.
No.
Nope.
There's
There you
Getting
go.
down to the
Look
nuts
at
and
this
bolts
guy.
of it, huh?
MacGyver over here.
This guy.
All right.
See
So
that
here's
discharges little lasers.
So this is the laser bullet, and
Laser
it has a little on the end of it is a rubber cap.
Okay.
And when the firing pin hits that, it lights up the laser.
Now, did you invent that, or is that already made?
These have been around for
Okay.
a long time. I actually designed that particular style. I didn't like.
Got it. So that's
It's
a
a different
version of
style.
something that existed
Pardon
already.
the cliche, but you built a better mousetrap.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and
That's
I don't think these were. I don't. I would guess that these weren't for target shooting before. They were for
Well,
what's
he
called
was saying
bore.
they had some.
Well,
they were
there's
from
other
what's called-
companies have.
He has
had
the
them.
recorder, so it records where
Right.
it hits.
So, but these were ordinarily used for bore sighting. So
That's what I revamped the bore sight laser for this. But other companies did have that product. You know, it was developed in the 70s. I believe the patent
Yeah.
form expired a long time
Bore
ago.
sight.
bore sight. So this thing, imagine this thing sitting in here.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is in here, but now the laser is on. So now we know if the gun is sighted in, and it's like,
Why do they
let's
call
say
it bore sight? Like pig,
because
swine?
this is called a bore.
That's what I missed.
Right. So the barrel bore,
Got
like
it.
that's so this would sit. If let's say you had a gun with a scope, right?
I got it now. I've seen the
Yeah,
movies.
it's for aligning your
Yeah.
scope on a bore
And
sight.
as long if the sights and the laser are on the same thing,
Understood.
now we're sighted in, it's accurate, right? Because you can't, if your sights are off, then you can't hit shit.
So you make sure you have an empty chamber. Make sure you don't have any live ammo anywhere in your room. So there's no
Definitely would be
danger. And then the laser just drops in right directly into the chamber. And then you can.
Sweet, right?
This is a double action gun, like a Glock or SIGs. You would have to re-rack it each time to reset the trigger. And as we were showing earlier, that's actually not totally detrimental to the training because you actually have to. It's very easy to find the target,
Right.
close your eyes and keep hitting it.
Right.
But when you have to actually re-rack and regain sight alignment with each shot, you're actually improving that skill of regaining that sight alignment.
Right.
It substitutes as for the recoil, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, also another thing, at a gun range, they don't let you practice from a draw. So,
True.
Yeah, so with this, you can actually practice, from a draw and get that first shot off. And then, reset it, reholster it, and then practice that first shot.
I think there's one range that has like a draw, like I think they call it a Western style area or something where you're allowed to do that, but it's like a whole separate area away.
made that shit
You're,
up.
you're thinking of
Western
Westworld.
Western
It's the
style.
Manatee
Seen
Rod
that
and
Quick
Gun
Draw
Alamo
McGraw.
Grove. Have you been there?
No, I haven't.
I think that they have an area where you can do
I've
that,
been
but
to
it's
night
Probably
very
more like
separate.
it's probably like a profession.
It's outdoor.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
All right,
makes
you
sense.
got your story out of the way.
I got plenty of stories, Trey. But we want to hear Joe's story. I mean, this is pretty wild. So
Yeah,
you
so
came up
I'll-
with this as a new gun guy. That's
Yeah.
Obviously, with anything with involving guns, you're going to get pushback. What are some of the pushbacks you get on this from the anti-gun people? Safety stuff is what I'm assuming.
Well, I mean, it's actually more safe. The pushback I've had would be, I started like with advertising on Facebook. I didn't have a lot of budget, so I would just do a video demonstrating it, and it took off incredible because people would just tag their friends in it.
Yeah.
And so I was getting all this free publicity out of it, and then Facebook would just ban the video.
Yeah.
It was out of nowhere.
Just because it had a gun in it.
Yeah. And even I would eventually, it's very hard to get in touch with someone in their ad department. So eventually I could get on a chat with someone, try to figure out why it was banned. And they said, well, you're not, you're not supposed to show brandishing a firearm. So I would do another video where I don't show, like pointing at the camera is what they told me.
Right.
So I do another video where I don't do that. And then it would run for a week and then get banned. And then they said, well, it's because you're showing a gun. So I made a video with just an animation, and that got banned after a while. And so I would just kept going through all this process, and it sucked.
So you've definitely had some trouble with just getting it out there just because it's in the gun industry.
Right, just because, people have a bias toward, firearms and all that. Yeah. Even though it's actually anybody that wants people to be safe. And I mean, this is all about teaching safely and teaching people to be responsible with their firearm and training properly and in a safe way. So there should be, no animosity toward it. But if you don't like guns, it's like, no, we don't want anybody.
Those people would argue, well, what's the need for gun safety if we don't have guns, right? We just don't want guns, but. That's silly. So
and the criminals are going to turn theirs.
We didn't even talk about it. When did you start iTarget?
In 2016, and in April is when I started a Kickstarter campaign for it, and my goal was to have it out by that Christmas, and just made it in time, and it was like crazy time.
Selling it out of your garage at that time.
So
right?
I flew out my family from Florida. I had more orders than I could handle, and I had a warehouse in California making the sled there. And they couldn't make him fast enough. He was working his guys and he said, I got to give my guys a break. I got a video of me, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to run your machine. And I got a video of me running this machine down there.
Oh, you literally did?
I literally did.
Wow.
Yeah,
did you find that when you were looking for ways to manufacture the product that you got support from other people in the community, like the 2A or Second Amendment community?
I did. There's a guy that has a YouTube channel. He was a Navy SEAL. Forget his name's Chris. His link's on my website, but he was an early supporter of it, and I did a video with him. So
almost like the influencer community, in the gun side of things.
It's a very interesting community because these folks, they all talk. I mean, there's a lot of interchange there, unlike other communities where people are kind of operating in silos. Yeah. So I would think that would be big, in terms of the marketing too.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I never really got into the whole tactical military type market with it, because my thinking was a lot of gun products are aimed at that, and my whole thinking from the beginning was this is something for the regular person that owns a firearm that keeps it in their safe that never practices. And so this is something for the people that aren't necessarily into guns but really should be practicing more than they do.
If they have one, they should practice.
And they have one, they should be practicing, and this makes it easy for them and easy to actually safely train at home whenever you want.
Well, you're right. A lot of the products are geared towards people pretending to be Navy SEAls.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So I try to stay away from that.
Doing. That's true.
Clearing their houses.
It's more fun, right?
Well, we got to introduce you to James for sure. Pilgrim Ammunition. I don't know, what could happen there, but I'm sure something could happen because he would love this. I'm sure. They're definitely fun to use. I can tell you that much. I would be that guy. I'm not trying to be a Marine or a Navy SEAL, but I would definitely be that guy to set these things up around the house, go clear my house. Why not? Just having fun. Maybe you had one too many to drink, and this is a safe way to play with your guns while you're intoxicated. Who knows?
Just make sure you lock the ammo up.
You support that message?
Lock the ammo up.
I don't think it's a great idea.
Clippable or not? So we don't fact check on this podcast, and we speak our mind. Nobody can ever tell us we don't.
Hey, listen, we're having a great time here getting to know Joe Crouch from iTarget. If you're listening to the audio-only version, you're going to want to tune in to YouTube because we're going to hit him with the rapid-fire questions.
Hey, I'm Joe Crouch with iTargetpro, and this is Rapid Fire. Dream car, probably a Lamborghini. Tampa Bay Bucks. Waffles.
We can stay up late, swapping manly stories, and in the morning, I'm making waffles.
Yeah, my latest one. Whichever one that is. It's a lot of them. It's a new one every month. So whichever the latest one is. Skydive. I never watched the G.I. Joe. Yeah. It's later 80s, right? Transformers.
Let's roll.
I liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Good question. Charlton Heston. My biggest question was, is God real? Has been answered.
God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside.
Believe in your idea, and I always felt like if you're not willing to invest your own money, then why would you ask someone else to invest theirs in it? So I was willing to put my own money into it first.
So, not being a gun guy, not being in the gun community, like heavily involved. I mean, you owned a gun, you liked guns or whatnot, and you kind of just stumbled into the idea. Are you now more of a gun guy? Have you naturally
definitely. It's funny because I had to develop a laser for every caliber. So I had to end up buying, every type of caliber of gun that.
So you're stocked up now.
Little R&D, doing a little research and discovery.
It's just one of those things. Once you get into it and actually start enjoying the sport of shooting and going to the gun range and stuff, then
we've been telling Trey that for a while. You get your gun yet?
I'm working on it. James actually texted me today about it.
This might be the gateway drug for you.
I mean, I'm into it. I don't know why I don't have it. But a question for you. When COVID hit, I remember that everyone got amped up for buying more guns and ammo. Did you see a spike in your product sales as well?
Yeah,
because, here, the apocalypse is coming.
Yeah, plus everyone was trapped at home and online. I sold my product through our website. And
I bet in a bunch of states the gun ranges were closed as well.
Probably, yeah. So, I had a huge spike in sales during COVID.
Good deal. Me too.
What's the goal moving forward? Like, I mean, obviously it's been 5 years, 6 years now.
Well, originally,
you can't like my dad. I'm thinking it's 7.
7 years. Yeah. I'll get there eventually. It's like it's 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I just came out with the cubes last year, so that was the latest product that we've come out with, and continue just to work on new products. Just see what else is.
You said you had some competition now, right? Yeah. You said you kind of created a whole.
Yeah,
so I'm guessing this wasn't patented originally, or what's
it's.
I know patent law can be loose.
I have a patent on this.
Okay.
But a patent, you don't have to change much. I mean, they just put it on a tripod instead of this whole thing. This thing is like designed to amplify the sound. They even did away with that feature. Just put your phone on a tripod.
Right.
They actually stole the exact same target. And I asked my patent lawyer, is this a violation on my patent? He charges me $1,000, looks at it and says no. So when I got the cubes,
that makes sense though. That little cone shaped deal makes the sound better.
It's a passive speaker amplification. It has a tripod mount on it. You can put it on a tripod, and so it's like there was nothing really new or innovative about the ones that have copied it.
They just registered the laser and
just different,
So would you say you're the leader in terms
I'm definitely the original
first to market
with this whole concept of an app to do this. Yeah.
Have you been approached by any major gun companies or anybody like that wants to acquire or
No, I haven't. I know that the Laser Light, the company I mentioned at first, I think Smith & Wesson ended up buying them. I imagine I probably put a dent in their sales when I came out with this, so they ended up selling to Smith & Wesson. But
any other partnerships or even endorsements?
I mean, there's a lot of partnerships with different gun stores that carry it and stuff like that. No, it's not in like big retail stores or anything like that.
The big retail stores have kind of retreated generally.
That was the whole thing. It's just the whole product came out at such a time where I was able to really take advantage of the Facebook marketing as far as like being able to target people that had guns. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had they've toned it down now. You can't be as specific, but you could, pick your customers who sees your ad by political affiliations and whether they like guns related stuff, all these different categories. You could really narrow it down. So I wasn't wasting any money on anybody that didn't own a gun.
And you were doing a lot of that marketing yourself as well?
I did all that myself, yeah. I still do, actually, the Facebook stuff and Instagram.
I mean, we talked all about iTarget and the fun stuff that we have in front of us, but like, what led up to that? How did that even? I mean, we understand how it started because your wife and whatnot, but like leading up to that, you weren't involved in guns. What were you doing?
And the connection to Sarasota from there.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know how far back you want me to go, but if I come back, I'll start with Sarasota because I actually grew up in Punta Gorda, which is just south of here. And went to Charlotte High School. And so, went to University of South Florida for a few years and just got involved in, I graduated high school in 87. And I was, into rock and roll music at the time.
That same year as Felipe.
Yeah, Felipe graduated.
Everyone knew that was coming. That's their favorite joke.
Well, he looked at you.
Are we the old guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer seasoned.
There's more wisdom there.
Right.
That's right.
So Charlotte County guy, but back then Charlotte County was probably like kind of the sticks, no?
Yeah, it was pretty much was. I mean, there wasn't much there. Certainly, it's still. I mean, there's a lot more development in Sarasota than there is down there, even though real estate's still shot up. But anyway, I was into like the whole rock and roll music scene. I went to college, but it's like I'd rather, get stoned and high and sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and basically failed out of college. Baby. Yeah, I mean, that was the whole thing. It's like, I ended up, all the bands I loved were out in L.A., and it's like, man, I just want to be a rock star. I had the hair down to here and was playing guitar, and it's like... I really just failed out of school and had no interest in school and just decided, I'm going to be a rock star and that's what I want to do with my life. And so I got involved with, harder drugs and hallucinogenic drugs and started meeting a lot of different girls all the time at these clubs and stuff. And the girls are more into witchcraft and stuff as I was going on. And it's like, hey, I don't care. Put holy water in my water bong and put a curse on it because I don't believe in any of that. And so
it's always the girls, man. It's always the girls.
So what happened was I had met this.
Now it's more astrology from what I hear. The stars and such.
That's all part of it. That's all the new age stuff.
What time were you born?
Man.
Anyway, so I started getting deeper into just sex, drugs, and rock and roll and that lifestyle. And, just fired from a few different jobs. I remember I had a job doing a cable TV installation, and I wrecked their truck, and I failed the drug test, and they found out I was hiding my hair under my hat all in the same day.
You were more mad about the hat or the truck?
It was probably failing the drug test, because that probably made them liable for the accident. But
wow. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So anyway, I was with this girl who I picked up at a club. She was married, and
perfect.
Yeah, and so I'm doing acid and tripping with her, and in the corner of her room, like I feel like this pit opening up, and just I felt this overwhelm, like
the husband's home. That's what you felt.
So I like the hair on my arm stood up, and like her dog started reacting to it, and I heard a voice in my head say, "Leave now, you'll regret it forever." And
you were gonna get her pregnant.
And I don't know what the deal was. I
would have happened.
It could have been. I mean, so I left. And she freaked out.
There's only two things that would have happened. Either A, you get her pregnant, or B, the husband comes home and you get murdered or something. Yeah. He wasn't practicing with iTarget. But
so was that rock bottom, or do we have more to go?
Well, after that, it's like because I didn't believe in a god or a devil or anything. But after that, I understood that there's a spiritual realm and there's forces there, spiritual forces, and a spiritual evil force. And I understood that if there's the evil, then there's got to be the good. Right. And so it wasn't probably a week or so later, I found a Bible and I just opened it randomly to Proverbs 7, which is the way of the adulterous woman. And it talks about the naive young man going by her corner to her house and how she seduces him and how her house leads to the pits of hell.
Wow.
Which is exactly, I mean, this is telling me what I had gone through, because I'm questioning, I was tripping on acid. Is that real or not? And then when I read that sober, like a week later, I'm like, God's real. Yeah. I had no doubts. And that really changed my life. It's like, God is real. I'm stopping this lifestyle. I'm like, I'm getting out of Florida. I'm moving to California. I'm just starting over. I needed to get away from everyone I knew.
Wow,
California's
the place you chose to start over.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, so I moved out to LA and ended up, long story short, skipping over a lot of stuff.
That's exactly where I would move if I wanted to get away from sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I would just go straight to LA.
You could have went to Vegas.
A bunch of holy rollers in LA.
Yeah. Well, I still wanted to be a rock star. So
just a clean one.
The whole sanctification process, as it's called, is God's like cleaning you up as a process.
Right,
it's not just instant.
Of course.
So I went out there, ended up living in a van in Venice Beach for a year. And some guy let me park it behind his house.
Down by the river?
Venice Beach, world famous Venice Beach. Back then it was pretty cool. Nowadays it's a homeless shelter. But so ended up living it was a duplex I was parked behind. And, it's just the Lord put this whole thing in me where I was just, all I wanted to do is like listen to Bible stuff and read about God and just change my spirit, change who I was, and just put this addiction for learning the Word of God in me and just listen to Bible teaching all day long. So it's just a process by which I was isolated from the world and my own little thing, living in a van.
What were you doing for work at that time?
I would work on weekends, helping a guy load up his truck for swap meets and make $100 for the weekend. That's what I would live off of, and I'd go down to Muscle Beach and work out and just be a beach bum and just had this whole lifestyle to where it was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Sounds
and so the one unit of the duplex became vacant, and the landlord came back and said, "Hey, I know you're living back here. Do you want to move into the place?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm only making $100,
$400 a month,
$400 a month, and it's a 2-bedroom, and it's
like a weekly Celsius bill for Brad."
So this other guy that was this black dude was living on the streets that I knew at the time. He was a bass player. He's 10 years older than me. And it's like, hey, you want to be a roommate here? And
then we'll put a band together.
Yeah, we'll put a band together. So we moved in there together, and still friends with him to this day. But I mean, he was an alcoholic and stuff, but the Lord worked on both of us at the time, and became a reality in our lives. And we both got clean and sober during that time. But I was there for like a month. I think I paid like 1 month rent, and then someone knocked on the door and said, "You paying rent here?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, and the landlord or the guy from the bank said, "The landlord lost the house to the bank.
Wow.
Don't pay rent." Yeah. So I lived there rent free for a year.
Whoa!
And it it just
praise God.
Thank you, Jesus.
Praise God. The Lord is really looking out for you. Rent free in Venice Beach.
Yeah.
You know what that place probably goes for now?
Well, the thing was, now, but back then, that area, the Oakwood area, actually, if you looked up my name, there's a story that's in the LA paper of a guy getting killed in front of my place, because there's a lot of gang shootings in that area at that time. There's a gang war going on. So they didn't want it becoming a crack house.
This is back before you were strapped.
Yeah. They didn't want it becoming a crack house. So they were happy someone was living in it. But
so you became the bank's caretaker.
Yeah, basically,
in a way.
Yeah. So
wild.
But by living there for a year rent free, the neighbor's brother was in the film industry, and he said, "Hey, do you want to work with me on this low budget film? It's like, it's not going to pay you anything, but if you learn the job, then we can start getting you paid on future shows." So
That's how I recruit too.
Yeah.
Practice, if you get good, you make a lot of money.
Yeah. So I did it. Was I don't know if you ever heard of Roger Corman's studios. He does like these famous low budget. Humanoids from the Deep was the first movie I worked on, and I started as an electrician, doing lighting. And I just remember, I'd never worked, they work 14-hour days in the film industry, and especially low budget world. I never worked that long in my life. And it's like they call a rap, and I'm just pulling cables, and it's arcing across. It's like, I didn't know anything. It's like the sound guy says, "Who blew up my sound card?"
It was the guy that crashed the van with the long hair.
The new guy. So anyway, I got into that, and it's crazy because people spend years in the non-union world of the entertainment industry, spend their whole career there, hoping to get into a union. And like the second or third show I was on turned union, and I got into union doing as an electrician in Hollywood within 2 years of stumbling into the business. And
wow!
So that kind of gave you kind of a little bit of background knowledge for this kind of stuff.
Not necessarily that, but just to be in the industry. And I did that for 10 years doing lighting, set lighting, and
in LA the whole time.
In LA, yeah. Worked on a bunch of different television and movies and stuff. Then I started getting burnt out of it. it's heavy work. I mean, you're carrying heavy reels of cable. They weigh 100 pounds each reel, and you got to lay 4 runs of it for every 100 feet, and so you got to run thousands of feet of it. So it's
that's
a lot
how
of
Eric
work.
feels when he sets up all these cables and everything else.
Well, I think we can all connect with the idea of having your own thing as well, right?
Yeah.
Being your own man, being your own boss, and having something that you're very proud of that you want to show everybody. So kudos to you.
That's a very LA story. You were basically like OJ's Cato, living in the van.
I feel like it's a movie. I feel like it should be a movie.
I mean, maybe it should be. There you go.
Well, so I did the lighting for 10 years, and then I started wanting to get out of that, but I was working on a TV show called The District. It was based upon New York Police Department, and they had
I feel like I've heard of it.
Yeah, they had this huge war room type thing where they would map out, and so all that stuff, the content that's on there, there was a guy that was creating all of that stuff, and I had started teaching myself how to do CD-ROM business cards. Back then, if you had a tray loading CD, I could hand you my business card, and you could put it in a tray and put it in there, and it could play a reel or something. So you hand someone your business card, but it's a multimedia thing. So I started developing those.
CD though?
Yeah, no,
I mean, I'm not putting that in my wallet.
It looks like a business card, but it's like a cutout of a CD.
Oh,
would
and
actually
then you
play
put
in a tray.
I gotcha. Yeah.
CD.
So it was mini. It wasn't like the full size.
Yeah, you remember those?
I've seen those before.
Tray CDs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't,
but
I'm
it
glad
was,
you do.
yeah, it was, once they went slot loading, that went away. But I was developing that for people that worked in the, director of photographies and people that worked in the industry.
Did they, true or false, did they have those for records as well, or no? Do you remember, Felipe?
I don't remember that much, but I definitely remember listen, I started really young working, okay, so.
But anyway, so the guy that was doing the video stuff on that show saw that I was doing that and said, hey, I want to hire you to help me here do this stuff. And so I said, okay. So he talked to the producers, and they let me do that, and I ended up getting in the union for that work. And, it was at a time when it was called 24-frame playback. Whenever you see a TV show and you see a television in the background, sometimes you'll see it flickering or whatever, because it's a 24-frame camera shooting a 30 or 60-frame
Can't
hertz
keep up or
TV,
whatever.
so you have to sync that. So there's a whole job in Hollywood created just for that.
Okay.
But as I got into that, they were using more computers on set and more, eventually it became more phones and all that type of stuff. And all the guys that have been doing that didn't know anything about the computer stuff. And back when I was a kid, I had a Commodore VIC-20 computer, and I had taught myself how to do some basic programming, and that was my whole experience. I didn't learn anything in college. I dropped out, but I had self-taught myself the basic computer
skills,
language.
yeah.
So I had some understanding of that stuff. And so I was able to get in and start doing that when I was one of the early adopters of being able to do stuff on a computer as opposed to just 24-frame playback. So it just took off for me. I met the right people. Again, the Lord just opened up the door for me. But, met the right people, and I had a really successful career in doing that. And it became more stuff on phones. And so I would teach myself, how can I manipulate images? So basically the job was anytime you see NCIS or some show where an actor is zoom into that license plate, enhance that. All that has to be created for that scene. So there's the actors aren't controlling it. Someone like me is backstage or standing there with the keyboard controlling it, and as the actor's doing it,
Right.
So it's I was kind of like my own little department. I would work with the actors, and the last show I was doing in Hollywood was called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Marvel spinoff thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I would work with those actors and say, okay, so here's what the graphic does, and you're going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and
So any screen you see in a movie or TV show isn't really a screen because you would get the frame flicker. So it's really just a graphic that you guys put in post?
It could be green screen that they put in afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper, at least it used to be cheaper to have someone doing it live on set, and the actors like to actually see it and react to it better than just green screen. So that was the preferred way to do it.
So you spent some time in Hollywood, so Trey and Felipe aren't the biggest stars you've ever shared the camera with, huh?
He's behind the scenes, pal.
How many degrees to Kevin Bacon? So I worked directly with him one time.
No kidding.
So now you guys are 1 degree away, right?
There you go.
Can we use that when we play the game? I know this guy, Joe Crouch.
Yeah.
No,
He knows
like
Kevin.
him.
He knows Kevin
At the
Bacon.
end, when we ask him what guests we should have on the show,
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah,
it
we'll
is.
get Kevin
He has
Bacon.
no idea who I am, but So anyway, learning that stuff to kind of teach myself how to manipulate images and stuff, when we talked about iTarget earlier, when I had the idea, I knew that it was capable of I just need an app that can detect a red laser.
Doesn't
And
seem like that difficult.
Yeah,
right?
it's why has no one invented this? And so I had built that background up, working in the film industry to kind of pursue that on my own. It was such a simple idea. I didn't want to tell anyone. It's like, man, they'll just steal it. So I was like, had to figure out how to do everything myself. And so I was like,
so you had to create it, patent it, so then somebody else could steal it.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of telling them early
at least I had a 3-year head start on it.
First the market is a big deal.
Yeah. Do you know anything about? Sorry, Trey, but do you know anything about the competition? Like, I mean, is it we're Shark Tank, right? And we're the 3 investors. Like, what size is this industry? Not just related to the guns.
And is there any way we could poison their well?
Yeah, how can we take them out?
It's all good. I mean, I'm all into capitalism. If they can make a better product, and whoever makes a better product, no one else has invented something like this yet.
Yeah,
I think that's the coolest product of its kind that's out there.
But the better product they're making could be just their marketing, right? Like it'd just be making a better advertisement
that's the thing.
that's
they
getting
haven't
more
really
eyeballs.
improved upon the original thing. It's just a different version of it. So
I just wonder, if let's say iTarget is a $1 million company, is there, B Target that is $25 million company that's just blown up off of your idea.
I mean,
and can we sue them?
In the COVID year, I mean, in the COVID year, I probably sold about $7 million worth of product in 1 year. So it was a pretty good.
No kidding. And was this like a retirement project, or did it take you out? Like, in other words, did you already leave the film industry and then start this, or did this take you out of the film industry?
I tried to keep one foot in it just in case it didn't work out. The guy I was working with there, his company would get the shows that I would work on. I told him, and I was one of his number 1 guys, and he didn't want to lose me, so he was cool, like me training the guy that was replacing me while I pursued this, and just to make sure it's going to work out. But after that first Christmas, when we couldn't keep up with the orders, it's like,
you got
the writing was on the wall.
Yeah,
Good for
I'm
you,
not going to
man.
be working here.
That is cool, though.
This is an awesome product. I think we all really enjoyed it before the show. We're headed towards the end, so I got to get my question in.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on roundabouts in Sarasota?
Roundabouts.
Proud of Trey for teeing that up by himself. He didn't even need me there.
I think they're annoying. They weren't around when I was growing up, but
not here.
Especially that new one.
Which one do you hate the most?
That new one.
Well, which new one? There's a lot of new ones.
It's a St. Arnold's.
The bridge.
Yeah.
Because if you're in that wrong lane, it's like that
You can't
outside
get out of
lane.
it.
It's like you're stuck. It's like they don't put no warning about that.
That's the one that was tough for me, especially when it was under construction.
We just discovered there's like 6 and 7 lane roundabouts in Russia. Is that what it is?
France?
Moscow?
Europe.
No, Moscow. Europe. You don't say. Did I say Russia?
No, Russia's not in Europe.
Well, close enough, but still Moscow. It was
Eastern
Natalia.
Europe, kind of, sort of.
It was Natalia that said there's a 7-lane freaking roundabout or whatever in Moscow. It was Moscow. So yeah, it could be a lot worse.
We don't fact check.
Could be a lot worse. So you hate roundabouts. That's good.
Especially the one that leads out to Loma.
We all do.
That
too.
is the one that is tough.
Yeah. So we're going to find the most,
Cool. And
senior
do you have any suggestions, people you might want to see on the show, interesting people with ties to Sarasota?
I'll think about it.
All right, put it down in the comments.
Exactly.
Well, we're not going to let you out here before we have a little competition. Are you in on the competition, or are you out?
You guys do it.
Okay.
Shot enough.
You don't want to get beat
All
on
right,
your own
Brad
pod.
versus
You might beat me. You're gonna have to do it further than 2 feet. Though.
We'll go all the way. We'll go as wide as the camera angle will allow us to do it. We will do it. But
All right, cool,
stay tuned to see who wins.
2, 1. 4, 6.
That was really bad. Oh, mine was really
You got
bad.
one more to shoot.
Oh, I still.
There you go.
That was really bad. All right,
So you had 2.46 seconds, 3.7 seconds. You had You guys tied on that first one. And then,
2.46.
Yeah, you both got
Exactly.
2.46
Wow.
exactly.
So, okay.
And then
all right.
he beat you on that last one.
I thought it was just over. Yeah. Do it again. That was fun.
Wait. So what are you going to do?
Hold on, I'm gonna get
You can just watch. We'll just do another practice.
Oh, you going to hit both. Okay, I got it. We're not doing the randomization.
1.
Draw! Felipe, hit it! Felipe, I'm dying! I'm dying!
So you got 1.64, 2 seconds.
Oh, you were faster.
He was 3.02, 3.94. So
All right.
he was done before you hit your
Yikes.
What are you shooting?
Yeah, what are you shooting at?
I'm practicing.
But yeah, let's
not hold it.
Yeah, because if this is a real gun, you have your thumb up here. You got to rip your thumb off.
Okay.
So And keep it extended because this slide's coming back, and if you have it up by your face, it's going to hurt you. So palm here. No, keep your thumb, the finger, thumb down like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, there you go. See,
You got it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. You gotta move. Sorry.
you gotta shoot them both though.
All right, you can do it.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, wait, that's
It
tough.
wasn't bad. I got
He
him.
turned
You still beat him. You still beat him.
Dude, you guys almost it was tied.
Tie.
1.68, 1.68.
It's a tie.
1.23, 1.24.
cheated.
No, I
I've won
didn't.
still. I've won.
Yeah, but
millisecond
you got
less.
the first one 1 millisecond less, but he was already facing.
I never
my
shot a
time.
gun before, so whatever.
Well, now turn around and do it. Now turn around and do it.
I'm a
Come on, let's
natural.
Come on, turn around and do it.
This is
Dude, look at it. This is what it's all about.
Gateway of getting them to the
All right,
range.
so I won't turn early. Which way you turning? We can't turn.
2, 1, go. Oh, yeah.
That was a good
Okay,
one.
not bad though.
That was a good one.
3.71.
Well, I have my thumb up on the damn thing.
You got point less than a
0.99.
second, 1.52.
That was
He
better. See.
All right. I need more practice. Gotta get a gun.